So should all the machines.
All the buttons are pressed.
So I would like to start welcoming you to the 9th design evening at Republikken. We're here today with Jan from 2012 Architekten.
Well, what we're known of is that we look at waste materials and see what the potential of it is for building buildings or public space or furniture or interiors. Experiment with it and develop building products that can be built with. So we turn waste into beautiful and aesthetic products and buildings.
So when we pass through the year 2012, what then?
I don't know, actually. This is something that is a big mystery to our office as well.
It is a little bit funny that you share name with this popular cultural film 2012 that is about the destruction of the world.
It's quite a coincidence, actually. And as well, kind of helping our to brand our firm's name. But it was really very pragmatic to choose this name because the studio that we have, and actually the houses that me and Cesar, the partner that we started it with, live in, were going to be demolished. And together with neighbors, we made an alternative plan to keep those houses for another 15 years by doing some kind of restorations to it. And well, this plan was agreed on by the city in '97. The deadline was 2012, and then we decided, okay, so that's going to be the name of our office.
Okay, so actually there is nothing after 2012.
Maybe
there is one fundamental difference between these stories and the way you do stuff, and that is for you it is the goal in itself.
Really, we tried to find the quality of this, which might be bigger than using new materials. I mean, this is really something that I believe that, and also what I experience when I'm walking in cities and buildings that still function are taken down and something completely new is constructed on site with completely new materials. Actually, what happens every time is that history is cut completely and a kind of new icon is added to it that maybe functions for another 10 years, is going to be demolished again, and something new is eradicated again. And actually what I think is much more interesting if you live or are in a city where you can actually read its history and where every element that is constituting it has a history and a story in it that travels with it, and that's something that happens when you start to use waste. It had a certain function before, and if you start to redevelop it, you have to really look at the specifications from all kind of different angles and things that you really don't expect. From that, you can start to develop a kind of new function from it, which is really inspiring and also triggers people's minds.
That would I like to call a pass pro toto, meaning that the smallest part is equal to the wholeness. Like that you somehow put your building materials identity into the finished building you're building. Mm-hmm. So of course you're always doing that, even if you're using concrete and stuff like that. But in your case, it's much more evident.
And what it has, it has all kind of layers coming with it that enrich the result that you make. When these different layers start to interact with each other, and indeed the small parts start to tell something about the big, and vice versa.
That is probably most visual in perhaps your most famous building, the Miele space station.
People, when they see the Miele space station, they first see it as a whole, so it's something really strange, and people start to look at it. And even we got questions, isn't it very expensive to make these steel sheets and bend them according to this shape, and then at some point people start to look at the windows and open it, and something in their mind happens and they understand that actually this is a washing machine, and So it takes a while for people to understand the parts that make it.
When do you think it stops being a washing machine and starts being a building?
That's really every time our design effort. It's again something that sometimes we succeed in, sometimes we overdo it. But it is about finding the proper scale for the element that we're using. So if you have one washing machine, or maybe 3 of them, and you start to build some kind of shape with it, it's really hard to get rid of its washing machinism that comes with it. But when you have something, well, like we had, 12 meter long, 3 meter high, and 3 meter span, and start to find the shape in which we put these things together. The whole starts to speak before the different elements, and that's when different kind of quality starts to come into the design. So far, we've been working mainly on the scale of buildings and smaller installations, but when these kind of ideas really start to make sense is when you start to develop cities according to these principles. So that's what we're doing now. Even for the Dutch government, we're making studies to see how different flows can be connected, and you can really start to create local communities where money is going around more locally, where food, energy, water, and of course materials and waste are used locally without being transported around the world, changed there into maybe the same element and coming back and used again. So to create much more clever environments and cities. And that's something that we're working now on, to develop tools in order to communicate this and to find cities to start to implement this.
Interesting, as I have a feeling that you could say that you are both predicting, preparing and preventing the future in 2012.
Well, thank you very much.
Thank you for being here.